Welcome back. This is Roger Stone. I was honored to be with you on the Alex Jones Show. And now on the other side, I'm joined by my sidekick, my colleague, one of the best-dressed young conservative journalists in America today, and that would be my friend Owen Schroyer, who is displaying a jaunty 1776 T-shirt. Now, the T-shirt jacket thing comes right out of Miami Vice and is acceptable in the very northern parts of Wisconsin and some places on the south side of Boston. But other than that, not really a look I love, but the T-shirt more than makes up for it. You know, Owen, when I lived in Washington, D.C., and I was a lobbyist at the celebrated firm of Black, Manafort, and Stone, we were living, a very high life. There's no question. We're five-star restaurants, the finest hotels, the very best liquors, the finest cigars, some very fine Savile Row or custom tailoring. Manafort always preferred Italian as opposed to English tailoring. And I remember that I would eat at a place called the Fairfax Hotel, which was on Embassy Row, and was kind of a posh watering hole for the movers and shakers, a place to be seen. I remember dining there one night with my wife and Pat Buchanan and his lovely wife, Shelley. But I often saw the Saudi ambassador, whose name was Prince Bandar, referred to by Barbara Bush as Bandar Bush, as he manipulated the enormous influence of the Saudi Arabians during the Bush days. The way they used their money, the way that they wielded power to, for example, spirit the bin Laden family out of the country on the day after 9/11 under FBI Director Robert Mueller, or shut down investigations into the situation in surrounding 9/11. That's why it's very important to pay attention to what's going on in Saudi today. The man you just saw was the Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman. He is the son of King Abdullah Aziz, and he maneuvered his own brother out of the succession of power only 6 months ago. Do not underestimate the new young prince. He maneuvered Mohammed bin Nayef, who was next in line for the Saudi power, out of the way, and now has launched an extraordinary purge, cleaning out the old order of autocrats, princes, and other major financiers who were deeply in bed with the globalists, with the Bush family, and who, most importantly, looted the country of millions. By launching this anti-fraud and corruption crusade, bin Salman is signaling it is a new day in Saudi. Sources tell the InfoWars crew that the next move will be military assaults inside the mosques at some of the most radical Islamic clerics who the government has tracked doing business with Iran. As you know, the Iranians launched an actual rocket across the Saudi capital only to have it blown out of the sky, which shows me that I have a higher confidence in the technology of the Saudi military than I do the bumblers who have been appointed to high military office by Barack Obama and who will remain in place, sadly, in this Defense Department. The one question mark being James Mad Dog Mattis, a man who perfectly affects the Douglas MacArthur hairstyle and may be the greatest general since MacArthur. We shall see. So, Owen, it's very important that people understand this shift that's going on in Saudi and what it means for the United States.
Well, I think the incredible thing here, Roger, is that we are seeing not just a great American renaissance here in the United States that really got to a tipping point, I think, that sent it over the edge with the election of Donald Trump. You're seeing the Brexit. You're seeing a young conservative get elected in Austria. You're seeing Catalonia want to declare its independence from Spain and the EU. You're seeing Saudi Arabia wanting to clean house and have a drain the swamp of their own, if you will. You have Brazil, where Operation Car Wash, Lava Jato, continues to go on. So I think that the people worldwide, Roger, are waking up to corruption. They're sick of the corruption. They know their government has become corrupt. And Trump, as was said in South Korea yesterday, is the leader of the world in the drain the swamp that's now happening worldwide, I think, and that you're now talking about in Saudi Arabia.
No, I think you're exactly right, Owen. Now, interestingly, we learned a lot about history from these recent JFK documents that were declassified. But yesterday, I learned one of the most extraordinary factoids that now checks out entirely. That is the narrative of the Bay of Pigs. We are told by the Central Intelligence Agencies and their lackeys in the media that John F. Kennedy lost his nerve and would not order air support for the Cuban rebels who were charging the beaches in the Bay of Pigs in Cuba. What they missed, which they don't tell us, of course, is that the entire operation was based on the premise that this was supposed to look like an indigenous uprising of anti-Castro Cubans. And what we did not know until recently is that John F. Kennedy had left a standing order in place to have anti-Castro Cuban pilots fly unflagged, meaning not marked as the United States, B-29s, a fleet of at least 22 of them, from Nicaragua to deliver pre-dawn airstrikes on Castro's small air force of T-33 jets that were antiquated before the invasion even began. This order was called off by McGeorge Bundy, the national security advisor, in a phone call to General Earl Cable of the CIA only hours before the order was given to begin this bombing. When the when the operation went forward, our men could never find a beachhead successfully. They were cut down by the Air Force of Fidel Castro, who were supposed to have been destroyed on the ground by this pre-dawn raid. John F. Kennedy's gotten a bum rap. Now, how do we know this? It comes from the extraordinary work of an author named J.C. Hawkins, whose book, Betrayal in Bethesda, is one of the most extraordinary tales that I have seen of history correction. And he will join us tomorrow on The War Room. So don't miss that. But now you have history being corrected. Now, it is not incidental that McGeorge Bundy, the man who called off the ordered raid by JFK, was the brother of Bill Bundy of the Central Intelligence Agency, who was an investigative target of Senator Joseph McCarthy for his communist connections. You get the groundbreaking truth here at Infowars.com and a piece of important American history. John F. Kennedy got a bum rap on the Bay of Pigs. He would not order the air support because it would have been clearly a U.S. operation, U.S. fighter jets. He had only agreed to this plan if it appeared to be an indigenous Cuban uprising. John Kennedy betrayed by the CIA. You can read it in my book, LBJ, the man who killed Kennedy. The case against LBJ, soon available at the Infowars.com store. Welcome back to the War Room. I'm your host, Roger Stone. Some of you may remember that in the midst of the campaign, Hillary Clinton's spokeswoman specifically put out a written statement which said that questions about Hillary's health had been invented by the conspiracy theorist Roger Stone and spread by the conspiracy theory broadcaster Alex Jones. It was shortly thereafter that Alex Jones was attacked by name by Hillary Clinton, which you saw in a video only moments ago if you were tuned in to the Alex Jones show. But now revealed in Donna Brazile's book is the fact that she, a campaign intimate, was as cognizant and concerned about Hillary's health as we were. You see, our information came from the naked eye. Hillary would have frequent coughing fits. She required help to get up literally one stair. She was constantly falling down. It was almost like a vaudeville act. Bill Clinton admitted in a famous CBS interview that she was constantly sick and always falling down. They edited that out, a little fake news mimicry there. But we are proven yet again to have been absolutely correct, because then on September 11, Hillary collapsed in public. Up until that time, they'd assured us that her only health problems involved allergies, yet we saw she was wearing special glasses that are used for people who have had some brain injury, usually from a fall. We had numerous complaints about her large capacity for white wine when she went on one of her tears. A vicious, mean-spirited woman. And the American people have seen through her kindly grandmother act. I think that every professional Democrat I know wants the Clintons to ride off into the sunset. Owen?
Well, right now, there's kind of a fracturing, Roger, of the Democrat Party, I think, and they got their election victories last night. I don't think anybody's really shocked that de Blasio wins again, that a Democrat wins in Virginia. You know, this is stuff that is kind of par for the course. We're not expected. I think de Blasio's victory is a shame and a black eye on the great city of New York City. But I think that right now you've got Democrats that see that Hillary Clinton, as you describe it, the Clintons are the, antibacterial resistant STD to the Democrat Party. And so some of the Democrats are saying, look, if we're going to survive, we got to ditch the Clintons now. We got to hop off this ship now. You see Donna Brazile, basically the first person to ever betray the Clintons, writing a tell-all book, if you will. You've got Joe Biden now saying, hey, look, when I endorse candidates, they win, as if he is going to be the next front man. You still think that had a speech mishap there. Michelle Obama is going to be the next candidate for the Democrat Party. So I just don't see how it really matters, because most of America, I think, is still going to vote Republican in 2018.
Well, look, I think it's very interesting that, again, Donna Brazile exposes the Clintons. WikiLeaks had already told us that the violent street demonstrations paid for by George Soros with agent provocateurs directed by Hillary Clinton were a reality. But now we learn from Donna Brazile's book that Hillary Clinton was personally ordering people to be dressed up as Donald Duck provocateurs to attack Trump for not releasing his taxes. This would be called a dirty trick. This is a subject in which I have some expertise. And here we have Hillary Clinton tied directly to a dirty trick. Now, when they attempted to tie Nixon to dirty tricks, it caused his downfall. But now, again, Donna Brazile has confirmed the down low and dirty tactics of the Clintons and her direct involvement in dirty tricks. Again, first reported by the crusading journalist Julian Assange.
Well, and the other thing about this, Roger, as you talked about, they tried to fake news you saying that, oh, Roger Stone says Hillary has health problems. Or they tried to say, oh, look at the crazy Alex Jones who says Hillary has health problems. As she literally falls over, she can't even hold her up her own weight. But this is what's kind of frustrating. Okay, so now Donna Brazile says, yeah, Hillary ordered people to be dressed up as Donald Duck. Well, that was already exposed with Project Veritas. Oh, yeah, now Donna Brazile's book says that they were covering up Hillary's health and it was a real concern. Well, we reported that here first. We had the sources tell us that she was having these fainting attacks all the time. Oh, Donna Brazile's book says that Hillary Clinton rigged the DNC. Again, we already knew that. We had the WikiLeaks. Infowars.com reported on that. So why is it that the left or liberals will only take news as fact if it comes from one of their own mouthpieces? If it comes from Roger Stone, it's fake news. But if it comes from Donna Brazile, okay, now we can trust it.
Oh, but Owen, just thank goodness for truth tellers like Donna Brazile. Look, I know Donna Brazile. She is not a bad person. Her commitment is to liberalism and the ideals of the Democratic Party. We don't agree on anything politically, but she is not evil. She is not corrupt. She is honest. She's very professional, and she's a highly capable individual. We just disagree. I think her credibility is very high. I'm grateful that she has stepped forward and told the truth. I'm grateful that she has stepped forward and confirmed the things that we had reported already in many cases at InfoWars as a check on reality. We are the ones broadcasting the truth. Fake Tapper and Anderson Cooper, they are the purveyors of myth. They are the progenitors of falsehood. They're the ones pushing the false narrative in the name of their groovy, cool political correctness.
Yeah, these are the same sources that tried to convince us that Hillary Clinton was a sure victor just a year ago. 98% chance, 99% chance, 100% chance. Hillary will win Florida. She'll win Ohio. She'll win Pennsylvania. They were all wrong, Roger. Cheers, Roger. Isn't it nice? Isn't it nice to be right, Roger? How about that?
Well, I would say this. It's important to understand that these elites, whether they are in Beverly Hills or whether they are in Manhattan or whether they are in Silicon Valley or whether they're in Malibu or whether they're on the Upper West Side, they don't actually come in contact with any working people. The people that they see, interact with, other than perhaps their servants, are fellow wealthy elitists who are not connected to the ways of the real world, who have no ear to the ground on, grassroots America and what it thinks. That's why last night I did a terrific book signing in Naples, Florida, for the Collier Trump Organization. A terrific turnout. And it's a two-way thing. Sure, I love signing books and I love speaking and taking questions, but I like to hear what's on people's mind, because this is the movement. And I like to hear what the people in the movement are concerned about. And I'll say this. It's a good thing for Jeff Sessions he was not there last night. People are fed up with him having recused himself, as Alex Jones put it, from the job of being U.S. Attorney General.
Yeah, from the job of going after the biggest political criminal potentially in the history of the United States, Hillary Clinton. It's unbelievable. More of Roger Stone on the other side of the war room. Don't go anywhere.
Well. This just in, the famous Russian Dossier lawyer, the woman lawyer who, through intermediaries, arranged a meeting with Donald Trump Jr. and the brass of the Trump campaign on a false promise that she had access to information that was damaging to Hillary Clinton, presumably emails, seems to have met with agents of Fusion GPS both before and after her meeting. We also know that she entered the country without a visa, thanks to the actions of the Obama FBI. So the so-called meeting with Donald Trump Jr., which was neither improper nor illegal, afforded absolutely nothing. But Robert Mueller's focus is not on the meeting itself. It's on Donald Trump's management of the news of the meeting when it finally became public. Initially, the Trump White House denied that the discussion had anything to do with any subject other than adoption and the adoption of Russia of American babies and so on. And of course, that narrative turned out to be true. Not that the actual discussion was in any way damning or damaging. That's because this meeting was a classic black op, a setup, a MacGuffin. And Donald Trump Jr., who we know watches us here on the War Room and watches Alex Jones, and who is a true American patriot, committed to his father's agenda and wary of the Bush Quislings who infect the Trump White House like a virus. Owen? I am also very interested in these stories in which Senator Robert Corker continues to push the narrative that the president is mentally unbalanced. My prediction goes like this. The political establishment types don't want to put all their eggs in Mr. Mueller's basket. They are well aware that Mueller is badly compromised in his personal relationship with James Comey. They are aware that even the appearance of impropriety would require him to step down. We're going to be talking to California Attorney Tyler Nixon about this shortly. He is, of course, a great nephew of President Richard Nixon, a longtime libertarian and Republican activist who now practices law as a member of the California bar. And we're going to talk about Robert Mueller and his public track record of public service, whether it was BCCI or whether it was the greatest financial swindle of all time in which many Americans lost everything, the mortgage and housing meltdown in which not a single banker, not a single fat cat, not a single financier went to prison. Oh yeah, that Robert Mueller. This is the guy who takes all of the anti-Islamic information, which is nothing but fact, out of the FBI training manuals. This is the Robert Mueller who kills an investigation into whether foreign nationals who happen to be Saudis are training in flight schools in the United States just prior to 9/11. So it is essential that the president understand that he is a target. I think that General Kelly and others of his White House advisors have not been candid with him about the fact that Robert Mueller, unlike what his lawyer Ty Cobb says, the president's lawyer, this man is a menace. The fact that he will not step down in the face of these glaring conflicts. He interviews for the job of FBI director. He is passed over. That explains his animus towards the president. He coaches Comey on Comey's testimony before the Congress regarding his interactions with the president. Conflict number 2. He has a conflict in the matter of Mr. Rosenstein. You can go to a terrific piece I wrote for Infowars.com called The Three Amigos that exposes the Comey, Mueller, Rosenstein alliance and why this is deadly for our president. If Mueller cannot construct some fabricated obstruction charge, Owen, I'm still convinced the 25th Amendment is right there as the second weapon of choice. There they are, Mueller, Rosenstein, and Comey, the three amigos. These guys are the executioners, as it were, for the deep state. They have illicitly served the Bushes and the Clintons. They've been part of every neocon cover-up con job in the last 30 years. And now they threaten to strangle the presidency of Donald Trump. These are dangerous men, and the president has to wake up to the clear and present danger. He cannot be sleepwalked into an assault, into an ambush by General Kelly and his current deep state handlers. There are very few in this cabinet who will tell him the truth. And the truth was revealed when Robert Mueller indicted Paul Manafort on matters that do not in any way pertain to Russia. The game here is obvious. Pressure Manafort and others in the campaign into bearing false witness against the president, lying in some effort to take him down. But, Owen, the 25th Amendment process needs to be understood by the patriots and the people, because that is where this scum will go next.
Well, I think they would like to do that now, obviously, as you reported on months ago. And the problem is they don't have the public support. They don't really have the support of Congress, and they know that they don't actually have a legitimate reason to call the 25th Amendment to task. But obviously, that's something that they desperately love to do as they try to build this narrative that the president is unfit. But, you know, I want to get back to the Russian probe real quick, Roger, because we know that next week, Jeff Sessions is going to have a hearing in front of a House committee about the updates, if you will, on the Russian probe. We already know that Sessions has effectively defanged himself, so he doesn't have any bite when it comes to this investigation, but maybe he still has some bark. I would like to see Sessions in this testimony, in this hearing, say, hey, you know what? I recuse myself, but I can still share my opinion here. How come we're only looking at Trump's side of things? How come we're only looking at all of these guys and we're barely finding anything that actually has nothing to do with the president or the election? If we're really into this, looking for Russian collusion, if Russia is the big, you know, grizzly bear that we're all scared of and we have to do something about, well, how come it doesn't matter when the Democrats are colluding with Russia? So if Sessions doesn't have any bite, effectively, maybe he actually has some bark left in him, but I don't know if I'm going to hold my breath on that, Roger.
Well, here's the problem. We get into it into the next segment. The fact that he can't remember things, even things that are innocuous but pertain to Russia, leads me to believe that he's become feeble-minded. Look, he hasn't done anything wrong, but he seemingly doesn't even remember the innocuous things he did do pertaining to Russia. As a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, it is not unusual or untoward for him to have a cordial relation with the Russian ambassador. He has no memory of discussing politics with him. But these other things, according to Carter Page and now this fellow Papadopoulos, this leads me to believe that Jeff Sessions may have to go because he's slipping, not because he's done anything wrong.
That's Roger Stone. We got one more segment left with him on the War Room. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back. I'm Roger Stone. You're at the War Room here at Infowars.com. Now, if you dislike the Clintons, I mean you really, really dislike them, if you realize that they are, in fact, the penicillin-resistant syphilis of the American body politic, then you cannot be without your very own copy of The Clintons' War on Women. This terrific book, which is the definitive oppo dump on Bill, Hillary, and their shady little daughter, is now available at the Infowars.com store for the stunning price of $9.95. This is the book that will reveal and prove the case that Webster Hubbell is Chelsea Clinton's daddy. This is the book that will tell the true story of Danny Williams, the abandoned African-American son of Bill, banished by Hillary and harassed even today by Bill's attorneys. Yes, this is the definitive story about how Bill traded U.S. military secrets with the Chinese in return for $300,000 in Chinese funny money, and how he gave $1 billion to the Chinese to fortify their bunkers against American attack. This is the inside story of the Clintons' War on Women, available at this extraordinary price now at the Infowars.com store. And while you are there, take advantage of some of these incredible prices. Alex Jones has literally lost his mind on some of the prices I see. For example, Super Male Vitality, 50% off. That's an extraordinary value. This is a product that Michael Zimmerman will not be without. Also, Super Female Vitality, 50% off. Mrs. Stone loves this product. I myself like the Super Male Vitality. We got busy in a Burger King bathroom only a week ago. So I recommend these very best products at the very best prices. You will find the Biome Defense at 50% off. My all-time favorite, which you need to grab, the Super Blue Fluoride Toothpaste. Mrs. Stone is a great believer in a gleaming white style. She turned me on to this product. It is the best on the market. And for those of you in the John Birch Society, you don't have to be too worried because there is no fluoride in here. So get that, add it to your cart, add it to your order for the Clintons' War on Women. Hillary Clinton had a screaming fit when she was presented a copy of this book, and you can get it now at the Infowars.com store for the incredible price of $9.95. Now, if you went to my friends at Amazon, or if you went online for any other fine book purveyor, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, you will pay substantially more. And you can see the reviews. This is the book that caused Hillary Clinton to have a screaming fit. And therefore, you need to have a copy of it. Owen, how many copies do you own?
Well, I've got one for every day of the week. Actually, Roger, I've got one for Monday. I've got one for Tuesday, Wednesday. So I just make sure I've got one for every day of the week, all 7 days, so that I can pick it up and read it and remind myself the true crimes that the Clintons have committed. But I just want to, correct the record here before we get Tyler Nixon on air with you here. The reason why I'm going with the Miami Vice look that you had mentioned earlier was because all apparel at InfoWarsStore.com is 50% off. So if you like this T-shirt, I've already gotten multiple comments on it on my Twitter feed, InfoWarsStore.com. 50% off all apparel. Now is the time to go to InfoWarsStore.com and take advantage.
Well, and one other key point here, Owen, and that is no matter what you wore, you redeem yourself by wearing your Richard M. Nixon style American flag lapel pin. When I worked for the president in 1972 as a young staff member of the committee to re-elect the president, it was made clear to me that if you did not have that when you showed up for work, you would be fired. So I congratulate you. Joining us now, California attorney, great nephew of President Richard M. Nixon, longtime Republican and libertarian activist, and lawyer par excellence, Tyler Nixon. Welcome to the War Room, Tyler.
Roger, it's good to be with you, as always.
Oh, we got you on Skype. I love it. So I want to ask you about Robert Mueller. Could you assess his public career for us, and what do you think is the actual, not partisan, but the actual case that he should step down?
Well, I think, first of all, any attorney who's going to enter into a particular position, particularly a prosecutor where it involves prosecuting people, taking away eventually their rights, holding them to account in a public forum, have special responsibilities to see to it that they're not conflicted in any way, that they don't have a conflict of interest. Before, at the time Mueller was appointed, there was a conflict run with Wilmer Hale, which is the firm at which he was working, which has basically been a couple of years worth of his tenure there. I mean, it really only involves his private relationships as a rainmaking lawyer there, presumably, of which also the Trump family are clients of Wilmer Hale. What it doesn't include, and what it didn't include, which is the most relevant aspect of Mueller's serving as special counsel, is what he did for his upwards of potentially 30-year career as a government lawyer and an FBI director. I would find that in this case of a politicized or a political, as the case may be, it's certainly politicized, but it's also political. It's a political in nature. It's concerning elections. It's concerning partisan combat. That when it's that political of a thing, you would want to ensure that someone who's been in government for 30 years, especially considering the candidate complaining was Secretary of State, her husband was president, and so forth, that you would vet that. But we're supposed to just take it on Rod Rosenstein's say-so that this is good enough, that Mueller's squeaky clean. We get the whole typical D.C. swamp establishment sandbagging of his credibility. We're just supposed to take that on faith, even though he's got a long track record, as you went into a number of times here today, as well as yesterday, I believe, a long track record of some shady dealings going back through to, and ironically, I don't know if people are aware, but Robert Mueller became FBI director 1 week to the day before 9/11. Very convenient for the the Bush-Cheney regime, so to speak, in terms of having someone in there who, as we saw later on, was clearly willing to go after whistleblowers to cover up evidence. You look at the anthrax investigation, which was botched, as well as, even worse, to take hapless would-be jihadis, really people who are probably, lower on the scale of mental and cognitive capabilities, and sort of get them into some faux terror plot so they can bust them and give the impression to the American people that there's some sort of progress being made against terrorism within the United States domestically. And, that's just the tip of it. But I mean, here's the thing is you don't need to have an actual conflict of interest. I mean, the standard for an attorney is not doing the right thing. It's not trying to do the right thing. It's not even necessarily, that is a standard for our conduct. But the actual standard is that you would not permit anything to allow the appearance even of impropriety in your position, in your fiduciary position, whatever that be, of trust as a prosecutor or as an attorney for any client. You're not supposed to, if something appears as though it could be improper, you're supposed to recuse yourself, supposed to remove yourself. You're not supposed to permit that to even become a factor. Mueller apparently doesn't care, neither.
It's interesting to me that in the immediate aftermath of 9/11, there's roughly 1,000 people who happen to be Islamic, who have no connection to terrorism, who've done nothing wrong, whose only crime seems to be being in the wrong place at the wrong time. They're imprisoned. They're never finally charged. Their lives are turned upside down just so Rob Mueller can pop up his enforcement numbers and look like he's being tough on terrorism. I mean, what about due process? What about their rights? Where are the liberals? Why aren't the liberals screaming about these poor Islamics? It is really pathetic. And then the fact that he coaches Comey for his testimony before the Senate. The fact that he auditions, that he interviews for Comey's job with the President of the United States and is passed over, perhaps the source of his animus. These are conflicts of interest. The executioner for the deep state, silent Bob Mueller, needs to step down. If he will not step down, then he will have to accede to a federal investigation into his own lawbreaking by an honest prosecutor who should, by all rights, be appointed by the Attorney General or his stand-in. Stay tuned on that strategy, because I think it is the answer. Tyler Nixon, many thanks for your shrewd legal analysis of why silent Bob Mueller must step down. We're out of time here at The War Room.